Yogi Premdas is from New York, so he had some. Uh, uh, he wanted to have a dialogue, so I thought anyway others also could listen, right?
Definitely, definitely. It's a privilege. Privilege.
So
Thank you.
Gabriel G,
Dr. TPS,
yeah,
everything you've been saying the last few days has been so inspiring. You, Dr. Bhatt, there's a couple of people who I've heard recently who have said things that I used to think about when I was younger. I've asked certain questions, and you just came from the heavens. The sky parted, and the light came, and it came through your mouth. I really appreciate. My father's a medical doctor,
okay,
and I grew up investigating science for myself.
okay,
I had a tuning fork. I had a microscope. I used to do my own personal experiments.
okay,
And I see that you are a true scientist, because I think that a scientist that doesn't observe the spiritual is only a partial scientist. He doesn't have the true fullness of the dimension of the imagination, because that's necessary to take. Even the greatest scientists saw beyond what they could see in the time period, and I think that's because they had a understanding of the transcendental, that which was beyond the five senses, and they were in touch with something very introspectively animate. I wanted to ask you about your experience with. Forgive me, I don't know how to ask this properly. I'm just beginning to learn about the tattvas, the planes of existence, and I feel like I've had certain experiences, but not very I haven't had experiences that I could say I know with full memory exactly what happened. All the details, all the information of the past lives, all the people that I've met in different encounters that I could say I knew definitely was from this lifetime when I was in this period of time. But somehow the experiences come in such a way where they're interconnected with art, with science, and you seem to have a broadband understanding of all these things. So I wanted to ask you, what was your experience in getting into physics and the sciences, since there's a predominance of the Newtonian view of the material world as mechanical, and there are certain limitations that science demands that you follow in a very orthodox and dogmatic way, because if you don't, you may be seen as a pseudoscientist, as a quack medical doctor, as something that takes one away from credibility. And I've seen a lot of great scientists that began asking great questions, like I grew up watching Carl Sagan and the cosmos, and he would ask some very thought-provoking questions, but then he would stop at certain points. And I've seen this with Sigmund Freud. I've seen this, Carl Jung went past Freud, of course. He didn't carry the same fears. But many scientists will halt because they're afraid to lose credibility. And the way that I see you expand beyond the horizons in such a scientific, deductive, all-inclusive way, it's medicine for my ears and my soul. And I wanted to ask you how you rose to the challenge beyond.
um, Yogi Premdas made lot of points in which probably we have great scientists who all became philosophers at the end of their life. You believe that scientists are who are able to see something new, and spirituality is something which we keep saying, the Darshana Shastram. Darshanam is what you can see beyond. Krishna had the weapon, Sudarshanam. Darshanam is philosophy. Sudarshanam is the best philosophy. So what is best philosophy? You ratify, probably you justify, you give some reasoning for what's happening around. It's not different from science or philosophy. That's why even if we do PhD in mathematics or food science or biology, or still the degree given is Doctor of Philosophy. You have to establish what you have seen and open it up to the world to show this is how I justify what I have seen. There is a great saying where science cannot explain few things. That is where probably I need philosophy to explain. Where even with the philosophy I cannot explain, that's where spirituality comes. We know water is good enough to satisfy my thirst. But that is not good enough to explain the sweetness of water. The sweetness of water is individualistic. And therefore, what gives you that sweetness in your life is what is spirituality. That I cannot explain, because unless XYZ somebody else is as thirsty as me, it's difficult for me to even explain how sweet is water. Probably some people are connected together because we believe when we have the so-called pralayam, the world ends and the new world starts. The continuity of life as human who have quest for spirituality. That's only the difference between human being and other animals. How do they get this connection? Because we believe there are saptarshis. There are few people who live across the pralayam. So if you look at every one of us are connected, because we all originate from the same branch. It's like our travel is like a railway or maybe a transport. At each platform we get down and somebody else get in. Our life keeps on going. Maybe I meet few people in a compartment which is my family who travels together, but not necessarily the whole compartment people start their life together, end their life together. They will get down at different places. So we are all co-passengers in that context. Right? I was fortunate at least to have somebody else who joined in my journey together. And if at all I had some taste and smell of spirituality, I had the opportunity to share the water which was taken by Brahmasri KPC Anujan Bhattadripad. He was a great orator, he was a great pandit, he was a tantri who could chant Rigveda totally. Not from beginning to end. If you ask him to chant from end to beginning in the reverse order also, he knows the whole text. And he started learning when he was 7 years old. And he finished at the age of 13. That was the time in Kerala we had Marxism. The first Marxist chief minister, EMS Nambudiri, was our chief minister. The first elected, democratically elected Marxist chief minister was in Kerala, in the whole world. And he was like an assistant. That means he left his spirituality, went into socialism, Marxism, Leninism. And then when he became little old, he again left it and then came back to full time into, he left his job and he was full time into spirituality. And his earning was doing puja, maintaining temples, interpretation of, probably only one interpretation of a book which explains how temple is to be constructed and maintained is from my guru. All the American people know Maharishi Mahayogi, right? The transcendental master of.
That's for meditation.
When that transcendental master wanted to learn Indian rituals of maintenance of temple, my guru was invited to America and he stayed with Maharishi Mahayogi for 1 year and taught him. So my guru was the teacher for Maharishi Mahayogi. It's a great blessing to have someone who was a guru for Maharishi Mahayogi, with whom I traveled to Kailash. We slept on same bed. Probably today even the children and the father, when they become elderly people, they don't sleep on the same bed. But I had the opportunity to sleep with, I don't remember sleeping with my father because I lost my father when I was 5 years old. But I have a second father who was a spiritual master with me to guide me. And I am not from a Brahmin family who has a cross belt where I can go into the temple. You wanted to get into the sanctum sanctorum where specific Vedic chanting happens, you need to have a cross belt. But my guru used to take me along with him and say, don't worry, you come. Because he was so authoritative, nobody else can question him. And I remember once somebody asked to introduce me, he said, he is my son. Right? So it's a great blessing. And it's not that I went and met him. He came in search of me because somebody else referred my name to him. Similarly, Swami Rama is the authority in meditation. He only taught one, silence. In Indian hierarchy of spiritual leaders, Shankaracharya is the topmost. And he had 4 mutts. And then connecting to that mutt, there are supplementary mutts. One of the supplementary mutts, Swami Rama was the chief. So that means he is a Shankaracharya. They are also called by the title of the name of the major guru. The designation itself is Shankaracharya. So Swami Rama was a Shankaracharya. And his beautiful book, Living with the Himalayan Masters. I shift my house many times, but that book always will be with me. Right? And that book is called the visiting card of Swami Rama. You want to know him? Read that. Beautiful experience. He was a Swamiji who has seen God. Wherever he travels, the God used to follow. Only 2 people had such experience. One is Ramakrishna, Swami Vivekananda's guru. Yesterday we heard, I asked Dilip ji to play the speech of Swami Vivekananda in our session on yoga. His guru was Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. The title is Paramahamsa. Hamsa is too light, so it can float. And it can turn 360 degree, see all around. That's the beauty of a Hamsa. That's why they have given the title Paramahamsa. They can see 360 degree and they can float weightless. No ego, that's what it shows. And Parama is the ultimate. So ultimate swan. That's a title given for Paramahamsa. The second person who could see Devi and had company is only Swami Rama. And Swami Rama left his designation of Shankaracharya. Only probably one person who left Shankaracharya designation. Because he said, I don't want to administer any mutt. I want to meditate. And he only taught one message to his disciples, and that's only silence, nothing else. His disciple was Swami Vedabharati. I had the blessings of having, not sitting beside, having dinner, having close association, having the full trust of doing. So these are all some, I told, when you travel, somebody enters in your compartment. It is not your choice. But you need not talk to everybody who is in your compartment. Probably what I did was, I took the chance of sitting beside them, talking to them, understanding and discussing. That quest I had. That's only difference. And what is the difference between science and spirituality? Where you cannot explain with the science, probably spirituality can explain. Yesterday we were discussing, in which Dr. Shuchita was also there, who is also present today. We were discussing the cell pattern, DNA pattern, all that we can explain in science. But then between the cells, between the atoms, there is a gap. There is no bondage between cell to cell, atoms to atoms. But how all the cell pattern in my body is existing with a lot of space in between. Because between neutron and electrons going around, there is a space. What makes the electrons to go around a neutron? We know that it is spinning, it is going frictionless. Newton explained the momentum and all that, but that doesn't explain after death why it is degenerated, before death it is connected. That is life. That doesn't come in the purview of learning biotechnology or the basic science of understanding life science. Doctors only knows when you take medicine, some disease goes. If you ask him how, I don't know whether medical science could understand 10% of how kidney functions. When an egg is created, there is a small air space given so that the chicken could take the breath and then smash to break the shell. If that air space is not given, chicken will not be able to come out. So who told that within the air there is a small air space and that air is required for the chicken to take the first breath? Now in Hyderabad, this is a mango season. We get beautiful mangoes. So in every mango, if it is ripe, if it is too beautifully smelling, red color, so tasty, and you cut it, you will see worms inside. And how the worms came inside? When it is flowering, the most fragmenting smell, in that flower only the flies will come and then put egg there. And this flower comes into a fruit, that becomes a worm, and then who taught this butterfly this is where it has to be put? We have only one answer, which we keep saying in our Indian alphabets. We have first alphabet is A. If you want to listen to lectures, A is good enough. When somebody asks a question, if you don't know the answer, you will have to have the second alphabet. So the answer for most of the questions which we don't have an answer is the second alphabet. I think that is what why is it happening? Why is it happening? We can keep on asking. How is it happening? We can keep on asking. I keep saying only human being ask this question. WWWWH. Why, where, when, how, what, all these questions. But we don't have answers for all this. Otherwise, how do people get connected? No question. Why do somebody gets it? No question. We get probably 50% of what we are from our parents. My father was probably a great, not a believer of God, but he believes in karma. Action is more important. I am not a religious person. Probably that taste of religious, not accepting as it is without logic, is from my father. Because he keeps saying, I don't have to see the good time for putting the seeds into the paddy field. I only have to see the environment. Whether it is raining, the time is good, humidity is good, so that I know this is the time I have to. I don't have to see the star positions. I only have to see how it is affecting my local area. Got it? So there is a logic behind what he does. So probably that logic would have come to me. And my mother was a great teacher because she keep on saying, we were landlords, we had a lot of land. And my childhood, we lost most of that. So I keep asking my mother, are you not feeling bad that you lost 10,000s of acres or lakhs of acres which was shared by family? So she keep hugging and saying most of the time, Lakshana putranindinayo dhanam, alakshana putranindinayo dhanam. If you are a very good son, why do you want money? Alakshana putranindinayo dhanam. If you are not a good son, why do you want money? So what is the material wealth which we have? Does it worth anything in this world? I don't think if somebody is having some regards, I don't say respect, some regard, some love, which is shared to me, it's not because of my bank balance, nobody may know, my academic qualification, my positions in government, the time of retirement, that is not giving respect at all. What is giving respect to me is probably what and how my parents behaved with them or their parents. And that tradition is what we follow. So what we have today is, in our mother tongue we have a saying, Nyan Padi Devam Padi. Half is from my activity and half comes from my parental activity. And what is that parent? It is Devam is misunderstood by most of the people as God, Ishwar, Bhagavan. No. That is our parental. Devam is never replaced by Ishwar. Nyan Padi, half is mine and half is by Devam. There is no substitute, half is by me, half is by God. No. So Devam is not God. Many words are misused here and there. So confusion comes. It's only half by me, half my ancestors. And half by me is with my environment. It's not me. It's where I am. And with whom I am associated. If I have got good people around me, yes, I will also get tuned to that. A person who is living in New York City is not the way as somebody who lives in a small village in America. They have a different. I was traveling the 7 states in the west, and I know that the snow is 2 meters during the winter. And I went to a small village and I was talking to an elderly person. So he said, we have 46 families here, we have got 200 horses here. So their life is entirely different from the life in the city. But still they love that life. What makes us to love a place is our environment which tuned us to become like that. And that taste is still there. Probably I love the taste. Probably that is there in my environment what is created, 40% is still there. So what is that I contribute or what I made myself is only 10%. 90% credit goes to my upbringing, my society, my brothers, my sisters, my relatives, all of them who contributed in making. That may be in terms of criticizing. See, a beautiful stone in that shape never comes in that shape unless it is chopped and it rubs with other bigger stones. Some portion of your stone has to go there. If there is a sharp edge, 100% that will go and then hit with something else, and that sharp edge will cut. So roll many times, lot of friction around, and that friction probably makes you more smoother. And it is your fortune that you are in the center of the river, you get more smoothened. But assume you don't roll with the stream and you are sidelined and then put into the seashore, you will not become that smooth. Right? So I was fortunate probably to have such rolling stones who rubbed me, who grinded me, who probably cut my sharp edges. That is part of all of our fortune to be in the stream. That's it.
Yes. Jai Gurudev. You know, the beauty of this experience. I went through a difficult life early. I never said I was part of any religion. I was brought to Catholic school. I was made to go to church. I learned what I could from the morality, from teachers who did not necessarily practice what they preached. And it was a learning experience for me to take what I could and leave out the things that aren't necessary. And I'm still learning that. But it was actually the experience of learning about the story of Gautama that turned my life upside down. Because the only thing I connected to in Catholic school was the story of Jesus Christ. And there was a beauty there, but it was over preached. So over time I became numb to it in certain ways. But when I heard the story of this prince who had to escape his own kingdom, of which he was the prince, in order to find answers, he had to get out of his own. That story rang so true to me, because that's in a way I felt imprisoned in the system where I was. It was not giving me answers. It was telling me to have blind faith and to just trust without evidence, which, like I mentioned before, I'm a scientist in part. I feel like when I ask a question, there's some validity to it, usually. And it doesn't need to be in a specific way based on expectation, because I need to learn different things, so I'm open. But at the same time, how do I say?
You have a reasoning for that, need not have. So without reasoning, without logically thinking, like a small child always keep asking question, not thinking what could be the answer. There is no predictive analysis for a quest.
Exactly.
Yeah.
My soul was thirsty, and the superficial answers weren't enough. So someone who was courageous enough to leave everything that he knew behind, not just for answers. I cried when I first heard this. When he saw that people were suffering, he immediately wanted to find the answer to end the suffering. that was something that touched me so deeply. And I said, I need to look in this direction. But I never said I was going to become a Buddhist. I never said I was going to become any particular religion. I tried to understand the essence of the teachings, the core value of the being who was the teacher, without trying to assign myself a particular belief pattern, because I didn't want the cement to harden. I wanted to remain fluid and flexible. And it was a more difficult road, because I find that a lot of times people, when they settled with one religion or something, there's a sense of belonging, a sense of groundedness and a comfort there. And there wasn't any way to find a total closure. There was an open wound, and I know that it needed to stay open, that there was no way to close it, because the only way to close it is to find God.
Yeah.
And it was years later that I began to have experiences. The first experience was with the initiation that I can't begin to describe. All I could say is, by the end of it, I saw what I understood as the entire cosmos. And I was crying more than I've ever cried in my life. It was like I was gonna burst open. And shortly after that, I went to Ramana Ashram here in New York, and I had a spiritual experience there. I began having many spiritual experiences very fast after that, until I went to the Krishna Temple in Brooklyn, and I went into the highest experience that I've had at this point in my life. And I don't know how valid this experience was, but when I was with my friend online to swing Krishna, I could barely stand. I had to hold on to him to stand up. And when I looked up at the sky, I saw eyes looking down at me. And I felt it was the eyes of Krishna. And when I tell you that I was looking for God all my life, in that experience, I realized God was here all along. And that was another experience where I felt like I was going to explode. I began crying. I went into ecstasy, where tears and laughter, it wasn't really so much laughter. There was an inner joy, and DrTPS, the biggest blessing in my life is Guruji, is my association with Guruji. And my association with you and many others who I've had the good fortune to connect with now. So, regardless of what I've experienced in my early life, it was worth it 1,000,000 times over. Knowing what I know now. And still the intensities are there. By Guru's grace, this is a process, like you said, of the stone, of the polishing, the grinding.
When
Reality,
Buddha,
I have no questions for you.
Yeah.
I have nothing but gratitude, and my hands are open. I have to learn from you, because everything that you said is.
When I hear of Buddha, I keep remembering a great poet of Kerala, Vishnu Narayanan Nambudiri, Professor Vishnu Narayanan Nambudiri. He was one of the greatest poets of Kerala. He was a professor of English, wrote poetries in Malayalam, and later he became a priest in one of the temple. I had the great connection of talking to him directly when I have doubt. I could dial him and ask questions. So I remember the way he explains few Sanskrit words, splitting them. I never had an academics in Sanskrit. I learned from questions and answers. There is a great saying from him who says there are only two sorts of people. Yesterday also I mentioned that, I think, somewhere. Who have and who have nots. The Marxist, Leninist, socialistic people think that who have and who have nots. But there is one set of people in India, and that includes, Bharata includes Tibet and all. And the first person who says is, who had everything but who left everything and became free. That is Buddha. In the whole history, if you see somebody who left the kingdom and then went into the people, that is leadership, not sitting in the seat and then looking down. We had probably then Mahatma Gandhi, who never stayed on top, he stayed in the ground. Only those people who live with the people, for the people. And Indian constitution says, by the people, for the people. But now constitution is same, only you have to correct the spelling slightly. Not by, by. And not for the people, far from the people. No. So there were people who had this in their heart. Probably Buddha was one. That is where, and he immediately takes action when there is people who are suffering. But he don't take action when somebody is opposing him or somebody wanted to argue. How do you learn immediate action? Patientless in helping people, but having patience not to get disturbed too much. That's also essential. And lesson comes from Buddha. There is a saying, somebody wanted to argue because he was going in a different path, not what is followed by many. That's how he was different. So somebody argued and stopped him. I want to discuss with you. He said, I have a lecture, I will come back after 5 hours. Then we can discuss. So I don't think anybody, when he angry, if you ask him to wait for a few minutes, his anger automatically dilutes. Correct. Mahatma Gandhi was also like that. He was a person who was too busy in activity, but he never stopped his actions. If somebody goes to meet him for discussions, he may be cooking, he may be cleaning, he may be taking care of their pets, he may be weaving the dress. All that he does his job. He won't sit in a place and discuss. Actions are part of his discussions. Swami Vivekananda was such a gifted person with Ramakrishna as a teacher. And Ramakrishna's wife was also very close. Sharada, when Vivekananda asked permission to go to America to attend the World Religious Conference, Sharada was cutting vegetables, it seems. So she asked, give me the knife. And the way the knife is given, you have the handle and you show it to somebody else so that you can catch the knife. You are going to catch the knife at the sharp edge. But Vivekananda took the sharp edge on his part and gave the knife in such a way Sharada Mata could take on the handle. So when you give a knife, you can assess the character, behavior, mentality of a person. The way in which you serve something is good enough. One action is good enough to assess people. So they were all great people. So we were blessed to at least learn about them. There are a lot of people who never learned about this. It is not learning about when he took birth, when he died, who married, when he got, no. One lesson which is an essence which you can practice in your life. That makes a lot of difference. That will not come by reading. Probably that comes from discussions, right? Interpreting, judging, analyzing, criticizing. That is what is learning. No, that is what is understanding. So we understand things and we take it to practical. I and Dilip ji is only probably less than a month, had maybe half an hour discussion, but the bondage is too high. That is because we come from same lineage. Another great Yati, Nitya Chaitanya Yati. The other day also, I think once I mentioned, Nitya Chaitanya Yati was a great Rishi who was connected to Ramana Maharshi in some way. You also mentioned Ramana Maharshi. So when you speak those people, I have some connection directly or indirectly where I get connected to all of them. That's a beauty. I never met Yati because my learning started probably after Yati was in limelight. Though he was a Keralite, he had his ashram in Tamil Nadu, Ooty, beautiful place in South India. It's some of the most best climatic condition, not like Tiruvannamala. Tiruvannamala is too hot, where Ramana came. And that Yati's textbooks I had opportunity to read, understand and learn his psychological approach to Bhagavad Gita. My entry to Bhagavad Gita was from different paths. So Yati's Bhagavad Gita was full of psychology. So you can look at Bhagavad Gita in psychological aspect only from Yati. The interpretations are so beautiful. And there are swadhyayas. You can read the textbook and the book becomes your guru. And the author of the book becomes your guru. So that's how Yati became my guru. And I was eager to see the man who wrote the book of Yati. There is a Yati Charitam. The biography of Yati was written, nearly 900 pages, by one of the Muslim, Shaukat. And I was in search of Shaukat. They are all parivrajakaas. They don't carry cell phone. They don't have a residence where you have got a landline, you can talk to them. No. They keep wandering. So I asked most of the people, where is this Shaukat? He is an author. He has book, but you don't find the author in contact. Can you imagine somebody eager to meet the author, talk to him. And I was so eager. And that time I was director for an academic staff college in Kerala. So whomever meets me in my office, I keep asking, do you know Shaukat? Do you know Yati? Right? So some teacher told, yeah, I know. He is somewhere in Kerala because few weeks back he came to my house and stayed one day. That's how he does. He stay in one place, moves there. But now he is out. He don't know where is he. So I was going for lectures. In the lectures in public also I keep asking, where is Yati? In one of the lecture, after some time I saw somebody, and these pictures are not like today on the internet, you know the person, you get the picture. Somebody entered, I asked, are you Shaukat? So he said, yes, I am Shaukat. So sometime people come to you. And that relation, I did not meet Yati, but I had the opportunity to stay with. He came to my house, stayed with me. He came, followed me. We traveled together. That's a great association which we get. And how these connections, if you look at Ramana Maharshi, he was a very practical Vedanti. He was a very practical Vedanti, down to earth. We keep saying in yoga, yeah, Prana bandhanat liyate mana. You hold your breath, your mind can be controlled. Because when you get angry, when you get agitated, when you are in a hurry, when you eat more curry, curry is sabji, which you have got lot of masala, lot of spices. Definitely your breathing rate will change. We have got Dr. Shuchita, the food medicine relationship and the anatomy of body and all that she knows. You know, when we take more spices, definitely your breathing rate will change. Bhagavad Gita 15th chapter explains the effect of food on your body and how does it affect a yogi. So your breathing rate can be controlled by the food what you eat. But you cannot control your mind, manas. Mind is not this thought process. It is in your feelings which comes from the heart. So when we say in India, Eastern philosophy, mind means I will hold here. Western philosophy, mind is here. That's a difference. This is buddhi, intelligence. And in India, emotions are mind. So it is in the heart. And when that we call it as manas. Prana bandhanat, the breathing control, liyate, dilutes mind, manas, liyate mana. But immediately Ramana Maharshi says, jala pakshivat dina rodanam. It's like keeping a bird in a nest. Once you open the nest, the bird will fly. All your control of breath, control of food, control of yoga practices, breathing practices, all these are bogus. Because everybody want to be free, not controlled. So control your breath, no. Don't control your breath. Breathe normally. But that normal breath has to be a practice of your life. But not 10 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour in a day. And then immediately another 23 hours, 20 minutes or 50 minutes, you are again in tension. No. It has to be part of your life. So they are all not practitioners of yoga. They lived in yoga. That's a beauty. It is not then that is the beauty. Probably a tinge of it, a bit of it is what we carry and what Dilip ji carries. Got it? So it's not keeping the name. See, we have different yogis. Their names are Ananda, Chidananda, Satchitananda, Vivekananda. All Ananda, Ananda, Ananda. Ananda is blissfulness, limitless happiness. It is only in the name, but not in the action. So putting the name doesn't matter. You should have that Ananda inside you, the bliss inside you. Viveka Anandam. What a beautiful name is that. Vivekam is where, when, why, how things have to be done. Practical, critical intelligence. That is Vivekam. Viveka, Vivechana Buddhi. Discriminative power. I should have discriminative power. I must look at audience. I must look at the person who is dialoguing with me and give the delivery. I am to be adaptive learning. I wrote a book on learning skills, adaptive learning. This is my book on education, adaptive learning. So how do you get adapted to situations? That is Viveka Buddhi. Vivechana Buddhi, discriminative power. This was what made Vivekananda great. This is what a real yogi needs to be. That is because you understand your environment. I told you, your making is with your environment. But you be with your environment, learn what you want, but don't be part of that environment. Try to grow from there. That is learning.
Dr. TPS, let me ask you.
Yeah.
Is it appropriate for me to refer to myself as yogi currently? Because I have such a long way to go. I have a lot of practice.
See, we have small streams which are flowing, which we call as river. We have a big river, that is also river. It's all connected with a lot of tributaries and distributaries. When you are a big river, you become distributary. A big river is not a big river by itself. It's all connected by a lot of tributaries who contributes. So the water is same. Wherever you flow, at some point you become big, some point you become small. So it is not the river which gets the name, the water which flows gets the name. So whether I wear saffron, whether I keep a name yogi is unimportant. But probably if that is your profession, you are full time into that, you need a designation. Otherwise, no. Assume you want a designation, you are full time into that. A police is a police. That doesn't mean he's a police throughout his life. When he wear his uniform, he becomes a police, right? Got it? So I am a teacher only when I have got somebody who listens to me. When I go to my elder brother, I am only an younger brother. I am only a child. My brother calls me like son. Mone. Mone means son. It's like the younger brother is always like a son for an elder brother. Especially when your father was not alive. Got it? So yeah, I remember asking a great Swamiji in northeast of India. He was not a great speaker. But we had 400 children and he was invited as a guest. So I was asked by the organizer to ask few questions. So it was like an interview. So that his ideas will come out. He gets streamlined in his talk. My first question was slightly rubbish sometime. I asked him, if your mother meets you now, he was 60-year-old. Assume your mother is alive. I don't know whether your mother is alive. Mother meets you now. And he finds that you are a Swamiji. Full time in saffron dress. Not caring, not getting married, not having children, not having family. You are not in Kudumba. Kudumba is family. Kudumba ashram. That is what the tradition is. We should have Brahmacharyam, Kudumbam, then go to Sannyasam. But you have not crossed. Exactly from Brahmacharya, you went to Sannyasam. So what is your mother's reaction? What could be her reaction? What will she ask? You know what the Swamiji said? He was a very open Swamiji. He said, he will say, remove this dress, shave your beard, get married, please come back home, help me in my household activity. Because every mother wants their children to be their children only. Got it? I don't think Buddha's wife would have been happy. Buddha's wife want Buddha to be a husband, a king. It is only maybe later you realize, yeah, this is not what my pattern of life should be. But I keep saying, no strict parents like father and mother both teachers from an ordinary family. Vivekananda would not have become Vivekananda, Ramakrishna would not have become Ramakrishna, Madhamardandamayi would not have become Madhamardandamayi, Shankaracharya would not have become Shankaracharya. They would have all died inside, probably inside their house, and if they behave slightly bad or different, they would have been put in mental hospitals. They would have thought this man is slightly psychic, treat him. And he would have been given an injection and put in coma. We don't know. So you need to choose your way of life, and that liberty is inside you. A soldier becomes soldier only when he wears the uniform. A police becomes police only when he wears the uniform. Right? So nothing wrong in having a title, advocate, doctor. Without that also you can be a practitioner of medicine. But we have a doctor, we need a degree, we need somebody to put a board there. All that is part of the system, the societal requirement. I think that's how it is to be looked at. We had a different title, Rajarshi, Devarshi. The promotions were also there hierarchically. When you support the king, you become a Rajarshi, equivalent to a king, powerful, who can fight war. They are Rajarshis. They can take weapon from the air and then start fighting. But they become Devarshi, they don't fight. They will only look at people. They don't even, action with the hands are not there. Looking at it, the other person will sit down.
Wow.
So we had in our mythology fighting between Devarshi and Rajarshi. And when the other fellow proves himself greater and greater, he becomes the Devarshi. The blessings are given based on their cadre. So the yogi, yogacharya, brahmachari, all these are different categories.
Can I ask one more question?
You can ask as many as you want.
For the imprints, the karmic imprints, this life and others, and the family DNA. If I were to have accepted a family to express myself in this life, and there are a lot of vices in the family that still have to be reconciled.
What do you do?
Because the difficulty is that some of the stuff is mine and some of the stuff is coming up as the ancestral lineage, because I'm working through a lot, and it's very difficult to discern. Not that I need to know all the details of the information, but in a certain way I feel it would help to know, to have an idea of what it is that I'm working through, whether it's my own or whether it's something that I don't even know if it's necessary to know that, to be honest.
Any problem, if we can solve, we must solve it. But there are some problems which we cannot solve, we should ignore. Ignoring, not physically, probably physically you are still closer, emotionally you are closer, intellectually you are closer, but you can spiritually have a detachment, because you are in a different level. Your language is not understood by somebody else. We have a small wound on my body. What do? I try to treat it, I stitch them, but I don't stitch them if there is a it is swollen and then it cannot be stitched there. If there is pus, I will have to clean it up. So it depends on how much is the wound which you have in the relationship, in maintenance. Sometimes you need to clean it. While cleaning, it is painful. It may be bleeding. I think all the great people did this. Shankaracharya, when he wanted to go from home, he was not given free, go. No. There were a lot of resistance. But he only assured, I will come back to you. And he came back when his mother was at the deathbed. I have explained that sloka which he wrote, Madru Panchakam. In my YouTube it is there, I will refer and then send you the link. It's so touching. Even if you stay with a mother for hundreds of years, it doesn't give that much of a relation. Only sometime is good enough. And that sometime has to be really good. You can make a small moment so memorable that they will only remember that. So life and relationships are like creating moments. Maybe you can stay together for years together, but you don't have any moments are cherishable. It keeps saying in communication, you have a big elephant in between both of us. Or you can have direct interaction without any inhibition. So it's all the way we create. And that creation comes because we can reflect. Shankaracharya says, Manam Darpana Samanam. Your manas, your feelings are like mirror. The way you react, I reflect. Right? But if somebody doesn't react well, what do? You understand it's only mirror for some temporary moment. Soon after that it goes, the mirror has nothing. So every person's reactions are only momentary. So if you can create good moments, that's good enough. I cannot stop quoting Mahatma Gandhi. He keeps saying, when you meet a person, imagine that person is going to die next moment. Will you have hatred? Will you scold them? Even your enemy, when he is in deathbed, you have only sympathy, empathy, love, care, prayer for them. So everyone, and relationships are only momentary. And that moments you behave like the person is going to die next moment. Who knows who will become Krishna Rama Govinda off from the world? Nobody knows. We say Krishna Rama Govinda is death. God is death. In Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan says, Antakale cha manase smaren. The last moment you think about me, Andakale cha manase smaren. Last moment you think about me, I will take you to me. That means you will become, salvation is guaranteed. But Bhagavan, Krishna, is a great cunning psychologist. So the next day, there is an underlying hidden message there. Do you know when is your last moment? So he says, last moment you think about me. Do you know when is your last moment? Don't know. So what do? Every moment you think about me. So we don't know which is the last moment for somebody else. So whenever you have an interaction, nothing costs. You will become so beautiful, so nice when you smile at people. So smile it. That's it. When somebody says, yeah, you must get married, you are a family man, yeah, I will get married. But he is not going to catch you and then get married soon, that moment, right? Tata, bye bye. You don't come back. You come back only later. So next time when you come also, somebody says, do it. Yeah, I will do it. Now, just know I am ready. Get somebody. So they are also happy. You are a patient listener. You are an obedient son. You are an obedient brother. But don't do it. Do it in the way you want. That's good enough. Probably that is only what they worth. Not in relationship. That is what they want. That moment happiness. Somebody doesn't like you objecting. Later they will know, oh, what he did was right. I remember when I left my scientist job we have two governments in India. Central government and state government. My eldest brother came and saw my office. It's like a majestic, palatial, beautiful, nice garden, big air conditioned rooms, visitors place separate and all that. No, that majesty I had. But then I wanted to go into academics in my state, Kerala. When I applied, my eldest brother said, don't go. It's a big mistake you are doing because it's full of politics. It's so dirty. Nothing will work here. Whatever you want to do, nobody will support. All problems I had. I had those problems also because my brother was so much experienced in academics in Kerala. But then I served 13 months. I made lot of difference. Some frictions you will have to fight. That courage you should have. That warriorship you should have. I did all that. Then later he told what you did was correct. He appreciated. I'm sure his love to me was manifold because many people told that I did lot of things in the university. So sometimes you have troubles, you will have to accept it. Sometimes you should avoid troubles. I gave both examples. Sometimes you should ignore things. I should not push the wall because I know this is not going to open. Don't even knock here because nobody is going to open there. So why do I waste time when it doesn't work? But I know a door will open if I knock. So I should open there. So everybody has got sometimes we don't know at this moment with this knowledge, what I am speaking at this moment with this knowledge, what I am saying is this. If somebody convince me the other way, logically explain to me, I will take the other view also. That is learning. So if I am ready to learn, yes, today I feel this is what I am supposed to do. This is what I think my life has to be. Convince me. So I am ready. Listen. You are not convinced, you tell him. And I am not able to convince you because I don't have the words to put them into you. It doesn't go into you because your framework is different, my framework is different. So I'll explain to you, I'll come back later and then try to convince you again. Right? So you need not finish it one day. Maybe people will wait for some time and then go. We had a great Prime Minister of India. He was very good in asking people to wait. There is a great joke. One of his brother was in love affair with somebody else. And then the brother went and asked Narasimha Rao, the Prime Minister of India, previous. He said, I am in love with somebody, I want to marry her. He said, wait, I will tell you. But this man who asked him to wait also died, the other man also died. The marriage never happened. So he will never deny anything. So instead of objecting, his principle was, any file comes to him, he will not object. He is a nice man. He will say, wait, keep it here. Correct.
That's
So,
wonderful.
so sometimes you don't have to be reactive. You have to have patience. That's what I think. Best method is later. I'll have it later. Assume somebody offers you food you don't want. You say, yeah, I will have it later. So morning breakfast somebody is offering. I'll have it later. So by the time it will become lunchtime, right? So you can skip breakfast. Instead of saying, I don't take breakfast, this is my way of life and all, then they will start arguing. You say, I will have, but later. So you don't have to have breakfast, that you can have lunch.
Wonderful.
Yeah, this is tactics.
The way you say it is like, I mean, I sat in school growing up, and this was so dry. And yet the way you say things is like drinking the most wonderful drink of water, sweet water. Very easy to go down, very easy to integrate. It goes where it's needed. It's wonderful.
Only when you are
The way you say
thirsty.
things.
Only when you are thirsty. Otherwise water is also, enough.
Indeed. All right, final question.
Yeah.
My area, I'm having difficulty is with the asanas, and I wasn't having this difficulty in the beginning at all. I used to exercise. I was thin for most of my youth. Naturally thin, very athletic. The problem is I never used to stretch, and I was very easy to practice. At a certain point, all of a sudden, there became a massive internal resistance towards sun salutations. The only area that stayed consistent and even grew was chanting. For some reason, the bhajans and chanting mantra I have such a natural affinity with music. When I went to my first piano lesson, the piano teacher played something for me. I was able to play back what she played exactly.
Good.
But I have a difficulty reading the music notes, but I have a very natural ability for music. And when it comes into bhakti, it takes me into such a state naturally, very fast, very easily, effortlessly.
I heard the other day you were singing so beautiful.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you feeling that, because those moments when they come, it is just an explosion. And when people can appreciate that, it's almost, it's like the universe seeing the divinity of itself and rejoicing. It's an infinite fire that spreads. How can I reinvigorate the fire for the sun
Asanas.
salutations? Yes.
Uh,
I have a Ganesh belly right now,
yeah.
and
Ganesh, we all pray because with that belly he is able to get rid of all the obstacles. So that doesn't, see, this is a constant, elephant is too big, but it can run very fast. So your physique and what you can do with your physique doesn't. There are lean people that cannot do anything. I kept a YouTube posting long back for civil service administrative examination in India. Yoga is also asked. So I kept one. and in which I mentioned Yogasana is not monkey's task. You don't have to do all that. Young children by birth, they are able to put the toes into their mouth and then they can sing. As we grow, we lost that because we never practiced every day. Maybe when we grew, we are asked to do that. I did it when I was in maybe 12th class, maybe 30-40 years back. I don't know when I did my Padmasana, Shavasana, we all do that. But not with all that asanas which we don't even practice. Because when we have alphabets, A, B, C, D in LKG, UKG, when you reach PG, you don't have to again write A, B, C, D to make your handwriting better or reminding you this is A, this is B, this is C. This is the time when you have to make poetry, you have to make stories, you have to make different things. In music also you have different levels of appreciation. You have only shabdam, only sound. Somebody appreciates music without even knowing the meaning. You said instrument, you don't even look at the song. It's only something which is soothing you. The raga is good enough, tala is good enough. You enjoy it. But then the next level comes, oh, you want to know which song is this. That means you want to know the language, you want to know the meaning, you want to know who wrote it, in which context you wrote it. So that means you are going to arthatalam, the meaning level. So in the appreciation you have different levels. Yogasana is only 1/3 level of appreciation, which probably you don't require because your feet are so wide you can get into 4th level straight. Yeah. Now you want Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama. Why should DrTPS need not practice Pranayama? Because I spend nearly 4 hours, 5 hours lecturing. Chanting mantra itself is Pranayama. Pranabana Vyanodhana Samaname Shuddhyandam Jyodiraham Viraja Vibatma Bhuya Sanga Swaha Vakmana Chakshu Srotra Grana Jikhwaredo Buddhyagni Sankalpa Me Shuddhyandam. In between the breathing practice is there. Why should I do another breathing practice other than this? Public speakers need not, teachers need not, musicians need not. Now you need not practice any pranayama. That is what traditionally in India pranayama was not practiced with one nose, another nose, aware of nose and all that. We keep every day evening, my brother is also there, brothers are there. We sit every day evening in the veranda and keep chanting. Rama 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 Rama. Take a breath and then Rama 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 Rama. Another release of breath. We don't know the meaning. Most of that what we chant, we don't know the meaning. The meaning understood later. God only knows the meaning of this because it is full of mistakes sometimes. Because it is what is heard and then spelled. Mistakes also could be there. When I saw this in the book of Devi Mahatmyam Dhyana Sloka, I realized a lot of mistakes. Don't worry, do it. Because that is our level. So you have to understand Yogasana is not important. The great Ganesha, who is the god of surpassing obstacles, had a big belly. Even you cannot get rid of it with controlling your food, because obesity can never be controlled with food.
It's bizarre.
It's part of your.
It's not going away.
Yeah, I remember.
I've done different things, and I have Ganesh. My main deva is Shiva, but I have Ganesh all over my apartment. Most I've gone to Ganesh temple. I have such a strong connect. Even I asked my mother to go down to visit a Swami, Jyotirmayananda in Miami, and I asked her to go for Ganesh's birthday. The morning of it, I asked her, please stop by and get an offering of flowers. And when I asked her afterwards, she said she was the only person that brought an offering, And when she gave it to the Swami, he began laughing. I have such a connection with Ganesh. But at the same time, Guruji will sometimes make fun of my belly. So I felt like maybe I should lose it.
The best exercise is this. With this finger, hold the left tip like this, right tip like this, with the crossing. And stand up, cross your legs, and touch this elbow onto the ground. That's it. But not that simple. And second portion, I will give you a different methods for, see, 8 hours we are sleeping. Even if you do this maybe 5 minutes or 10 minutes. 6 hours, 8 hours when you sleep, when you are sleeping looking upward, your seat and between the belly and the backbone, keep a pillow. So that definitely your tummy will be pushed down. And if you sleep like that, 40 days, good control. No extra knowing breathing practice. These are all small tricks. Got it? And tie probably the clothes. Tie it really when you are sleeping like that. So every day it keeps reducing. Nearly 40 days. If it can be controlled, it works in 40 days without any diet control, without any problem. Because you are only sleeping. Slightly few days you will have uncomfortable because you don't practice sleeping like that. Otherwise you can. I don't do any physical exercise, not even walking sometime. I am only sitting and lecturing. But my weight is 60 kilogram for last 30 years almost. No +1, -1 also. I maintain it. And it's not that I control my food. I eat as much I want, not as much as I can. As much I want. That's it. Mitam bhuktva, little less than what you want, eat that much. Shatam japtva, keep praying, practicing like the music which you have. Japam is continuous practice by self. Vama bhage shayanasya, turn left and lie down for some time after your food. Left turn and then sleep. Bishak gim kim prayojanam, you never require a doctor. So all the diseases related to tummy will go. That's what it says. So we had
Good morning, sir.
Yeah.
Can you please repeat once again? You were telling to keep a pillow below the spinal cord.
Maybe what I will do is I will, along with this video when I post on YouTube, I will lie down like that and take a picture and then post it.
Is it okay for you to do that?
Why not? You tell me anything to do, I will do it. My present system doesn't support me to do that. Yeah.
How to keep the pillow below the feet?
So not below the feet, below your back. The backbone is not straight. Backbone has got a small bend between your Mooladhara.
It's a curve.
Yeah, curve. So support that curve with a pillow at the back. So definitely your tummy will be pushed down.
Correct.
You just try that, your tummy will go down. And in that position you sleep. So you are sleeping 6 hours like that continuously for 40 days.
And the feet can be cut usual.
As usual.
But normally once you get into sleep, you won't remember.
Doesn't matter. See, the body almost takes maximum time when you are comfortable position. You are not comfortable. That's why you are rolling left, right, back, forth and all that. And if your tummy is not full, you will not turn left. Who are the people who are turning left? Because they had too much food and they wanted to be comfortable. Unknowingly our body will turn left because you had more food. And right turning is because you are aware that you are awakened. So that is why people roll. These are all different aspects. Because we have a tendency to take right turn always. That's why pradikshina is always right turning. Circumambulation is always right turning. Because we are more comfortable turning right. But after food, our body will suggest you. These are all biofeedback. Inside our body there is a consciousness which will tell you what is to be done.
Okay.
And just because the food is more, otherwise you have to throw, don't eat. Don't make your tummy as a dustbin. If it is to be thrown, throw it outside. Don't throw it inside.
Inside.
Yeah.
And there is a saying like, no, while you get up from the sleep, you have to get up from the right side. Huh?
Yeah. That is because turning right is more comfortable. And when you are lying down, you are in a horizontal position. Our body has got maximum non-Newtonian fluid inside. Blood is a non-Newtonian fluid. Non-Newtonian means when you are standing, the blood doesn't flow down. It also pushes up and goes down in the same style because it's non-Newtonian. Capillary motion, that is biomechanics. So when you are lying down, you are super comfortable. Right? So all on a sudden you are going to turn up. You have to be consciously telling your body that I am going to lift me up so that from horizontal I am going to make you vertical all on a sudden. That is not permitted. So you have to turn right side, and if your head is towards which side? North. When you are taking right turn, you will be seeing the sun. Definitely seeing sun, looking at sun in the morning is good. Expecting or assuming that you wake up early morning. Not when the sun is up or in the west. So these are different aspects. I probably have given lot of lectures on how to sleep, how to lie down, which direction, connecting to Vastu, connecting to life force energy, connecting to the physiology and psychology of life and all that.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
So then we don't get up as soon as you wake up. You wake up and after some time you get up. Between that you are conscious. Sit for some time. So how much time you have to sit? Traditionally, every program the life had got slokas in between. So in between you have to chant a sloka. What is that? Karagre vasate Lakshmi. Karagre vasate. Don't chant like this. You must understand the meaning. Lakshmi is money. Money is this. Karagre vasate Lakshmi. Karamadhye Saraswati. Karamule Sthita Gauri. Prabhade Karadarshanam. Look at my hand. The most motivational lecture in the world is this one sloka. Then when you put your leg onto the ground, you are turning, lot of turning, left turning, right turning, lot of electromagnetic energy which is falling from the air conditioner, fan, other equipments, all that will be part of your aura. Lot of electromagnetic energy, dead energies. So when you wake up, you put the leg onto the ground, immediately earthing will happen. When earthing happens, definitely there will be a shock in your body. And that shock, to avoid, what is to be done? Touch the ground. Not necessarily the ground. You can touch the wall and do an earthing, because hand is the best conductor of energy. Touch the wall. How much time you have to touch? One sloka time. And all the slokas are there in my small book called Nitya Sloka. There is a book called Nitya Sloka. The English transcript of the book is also available. This is the book. It's there on my website. So every day, Nitya Sloka means everyday slokas to practice. I think our yoga, the United Nations yoga session, we should have one session on energy. Yesterday, somebody was asking on the healing practices. This is the daily practice which we could have, which is part of our daily routines. This is exactly to explain the daily routines in the sequence. What traditionally Sanathana Dharma, way of life, describes. And touch this. Samudra Vasane Devi Parvadastana Mandale Vishnu Patni Namastubhyam Padasparsham Chamaswame. Forgive me for putting my leg on you, O Mother Earth. Pardon me for that big mistake which I am doing. I am putting my leg on your body. because we believe earth is the mother. If earth is the mother, how can you put your leg onto her?
Shashida,
Yeah.
what is that? Please repeat that in the third one.
Samudra Vasane Devi Parvadasthana Mandale. You look at Subhashitam, DrTPS. All of these slokas are there. The sloka, one script, if you type it DrTPS, you have a blog in which philosophically, scientifically, all of them are explained in articles. I was writing, contributing articles in some magazines. All of them are put into a blog. So one of the blog contains explanations on Nitya Sloka. The Sloka book is also there, and also it is there, the explanation. Samudra Vasane Devi. Oh Mother God, you have got water flowing on you. Parvadasthana Mandale. Each mountain is like a breast which gives milk for all of us. Vishnu Patni Namastubhyam. You are the wife of Vishnu. Vishnu is the god of action. Action is not possible without earth. I need a place to act. So husband and wife, that is the mix. Vishnu Patni Namastubhyam. Padasparsham Chamaswame. Forgive me for putting my leg on you. So that is to give a time scale for you. How much time? The time is given one sloka time. So that your earthening is happening. So you will never get a shock and a shivering. Most of the paralytic attack happens when you get out of your bed. That is because there is a shock. Energy passes to the earth. That will not happen if you practice this. Good enough?
More than good enough.
Sir, good afternoon.
Yeah.
Sir, can I ask few things?
Yeah, sure. Jayanthi P. Sahu is a philosophy professor from Delhi.
Thank you, sir. Sir, I just have few philosophical questions
Yeah,
against regarding Buddhist philosophy.
yeah.
So, do you think that what Buddha did to his family is the right thing? And when he left the home, that why did he leave the home during night when everybody was sleeping? And why Buddha was silenced to the metaphysical questions? Whenever any metaphysical questions asked to Buddha that if there is self or not self, why he maintained the silence? These are some of the questions. And regarding the religion, do you think that religion is something which is needs to be criticized, or the understanding of the people's belief on religion or how they understand religion should be criticized? So these are some of the questions, sir.
When I was in 9th class, I was part of NCC, National Cadet Corps. When I had to attend a camp in Palakkad, my brother did not allow me. Actually, I ran away from my house morning without telling anybody. Sometimes you have a desire which is to be uncontrolled. You have a Swadharma. Swadharma is my dharma to me. That becomes superficial. Then you will surrender to the Kudumba Dharma. That becomes so core to you, you don't care your family dharma. When your family dharma and when your social dharma is great, what you do is you make a comparison. You see, forget about family dharma, let me jump to social dharma. So dharma is defined based on where, when, why, how, with what context he does. These conflicts are there in Rama's case also. Rama and Sita. Rama would have become a king. If he is very adamant saying that I want to be king, he could have become. But he wanted to listen not to the father. He could have convinced his father. But his father happens to be the king. So if you don't listen to father, it's not a big mistake. If you don't listen to father, it's a big mistake, because he is also going to be a king. So nobody will listen to him. They will quote this as an example. So what you do at some point depends on what is your preference. If it is family which is your preference, Swadharma is your preference, your profession is your preference. So Buddha would have thought this is your preference. Correct? I have got a small poetry book in which I wrote, we believe different avatars of Vishnu, in which Buddha, is he an avatar of Vishnu, is a big question. Many Buddhists believe it is the avatar of Vishnu. I contradict, keep saying, because Rama was called Sita Rama. Krishna was called Radha Krishna. They in fact prefixed their wife's name along with them. So they were very close to family. They did not leave their family. They took their family along. So how can in another avatar he can leave the family and go? Probably Buddha would not even read about Krishna, or it is not as famous as today. Everybody can reach Bhagavad Gita and start reading. The Bhagavatam, Puranam, the stories of Krishna would have been not that popular during that time. Otherwise I am sure Buddha would have become a core devotee of Vishnu if he was an avatar of Vishnu. He will not make another religion like Buddhism. He would have become part of Hinduism. Refined Hinduism would have been there. So that leads to your second question. I think it is justified why Buddha left. What is the second question? It is not different. Buddhism is not different. Christianity is not different. Muslim is not different. Only when they mix it with politics and reaching into power, it becomes contradiction. Otherwise, everybody has got different geographical reasons. Why I am eating only idli and dosha? Because I am a South Indian. Why somebody in North India is eating chapati, paratha and all that is because North Indian. Why Chinese people are eating noodles? Because they have a different practice. Religion is also like that. They have different practices. See, I keep saying we believe that sun is our God. Because in India sun is beautiful. Western country sun is beautiful. When there is sunny day, they say beautiful day. But I don't think a sunny day in Gulf, the Muslim nation, they will say it's a beautiful day. They will say it's a horrible day. So what do? In the daytime they don't go out. In the moon light is there, that's most beautiful for them. So that is why we have sun as the God, whereas Muslims have moon as the God. What is the difference between sun and moon? It is one and the same. It's only reflection. But some people don't understand it is reflection. They will say, oh, I don't believe in sun. So if they understand the core principle, religions are all one and the same. But some people don't understand, they become so blind. They don't listen, they don't look at. That is wrong. I keep saying this to people who follow ashrams also. Don't follow one Guruji, one ashram and say he is the greatest. Yes, he is greatest when my great teacher who taught me in primary class, lower primary is great. But that doesn't mean he can guide me for my PhD. I will have to change my guide. I will have to change my mentor. So you see somebody who knows. Vedic learning, Brahmashri KPC was great. But for meditation, samadhi, silence, I had to go to somebody else. I want philosophy to learn, I must go to Radhakrishna. If I have to learn something else, probably I will have to go to somebody else. I cannot learn philosophy from Sir Isaac Newton. So nothing wrong in learning different textbooks, different. If you understand, see, just because I am a physics lover, that doesn't mean I don't love philosophy people, right? Just because I become a scientist, that doesn't mean I don't like police fellows. Similarly, just because I happen to be a Hindu, not my choice, it's by birth. It doesn't mean I don't like somebody else. They're all one and the same. How does it matter how many people are here, how many people are there? It doesn't matter. Whether it is minority, majority, whether you have reservation, doesn't matter. I keep on saying, if somebody says there is a minority reservation, that's why I did not get my posting. Does it mean the majority people don't get postings? You were not qualified enough, so you didn't get. That's it. So don't mix politics with religion. When we started religious reservations, Some people felt they lost their reservation. That's how they started fighting. Religion was mixed with your positions, power, getting job, education, politics. That is where it became a problem. Otherwise, I think we had a smooth life. We always accepted this.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir, so much. Sir, again, my question is that why do you say that when I'm Hindu, it's not by choice, by birth? If there is a choice, then what would be? Is it the wrong thing to have a choice?
No, see, why I am saying, why I am a Hindu, because my mother was a Hindu. Why somebody becomes a Christian? By birth, his father and mother did the baptism and then made it to be a Hindu. A Christian. Similarly, Muslims. So I took my example. Other person also can take their example. And after some time, I got a chance to know some other religion. If somebody finds a best religion, best practices much better than Hinduism, no guarantee that DrTPS will not shift there. Why not? I went to most of the places. I visited mosques. Whenever I go to Gulf, I make a point that I go to mosques. Whenever I get chance, I go to church, and then I also participate in the activities in church. I visited most of the Gurudwaras. You can see me in America. When I went to most of the Gurudwaras. Nanded, best Gurudwara I went. I went to Golden Temple. And I obey all the rules which they ask me to do that. So Jain, I keep on visiting Jain places. Beautiful. So silent, What a great message Jain had. But we don't see something entirely different, so I accept everybody. And I am not a person who goes to temple, do rituals, pray for me to get something in my life and all that. No, I don't have. I believe that I am maybe speaking about Hinduism just because accidentally, it is not my choice, accidentally I happen to be a Hindu where my father and mother was Hindus, and I don't want to tell they were fools. They had a wrong choice. So I opt that whatever they had until I can prove otherwise. That's it.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
Dr. Anantakrishnan was showing hand in between when he is still there. Dr. Anantakrishnan is one of the best, probably, media person, press. His PhD is in journalism. He specializes in defense journalism. He was a close associate of Abdul Kalam. He was a small bacha for me. When I was in Hyderabad, we used to have a lot of time together. So, an early mentor for him probably. He was showing hand. Probably he was telling bye. Tata, yeah. Good enough?
Thank you, sir.
Namaste, namaskaram to all of you. So I thought,
Pranam, sir.
Pranams.
Pranams. Thank you for inviting us.
Lalita Krishna is from Tirupati. We have a lot of people from different part of India. Somebody from Gulf, few people are there. I am seeing them. It was good, no? Gabriel G, when you wanted to ask question, I said, let us make it. Others also can listen, right? This is what I do. I have got some
Very enriching sessions.
WhatsApp group in which I post the message to them that there is a meet like this. So that some questions, So we will make it satsang.
Guruji's main teaching is
Vasudeva Kudumbakam, yeah.
And this is what this was.
Yeah. My nephew is there from Dubai. My nephew is also attending from Dubai.
Namaste.
Pranams. Namaste, sir.
Namaste. Preman Nair is there, great sportsman. Okay. Asha Ravi is there, a statistician. A lot of people are there. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you, sir.
പ്രേമൻ പപ്പാട്ടന്റെ അടുത്ത സുഹൃത്താണ് കേട്ടോ.
Hello, sir.
യാ, ഞാൻ താങ്കളെ കുറിച്ച് പറയാം. എൻ്റെ ഏട്ടൻ്റെ അടുത്ത് TP ബാലകൃഷ്ണൻ ഉണ്ട്. പപ്പാട്ടനും ബാലകൃഷ്ണേട്ടനും ഒരേ പ്രായ.
Oh, I see.
പപ്പാട്ടന്റെ അടുത്ത സുഹൃത്താ പ്രേമൻ. മിക്കവാറും എൻ്റെ എല്ലാ സെഷനും ഉണ്ടാവും. കോഴിക്കോടാണ്.
Nice to meet you, sir. So I think session is over. No, sir? Yeah.
അദ്ദേഹം വേൾഡ് യോഗ കമ്മ്യൂണിറ്റിന്റെ ഒരാളാണ്. അപ്പോൾ മിക്കവാറും കാണുമ്പോൾ ഇടയ്ക്കിടയ്ക്ക് ചോദിക്കും, എപ്പോഴെങ്കിലും ഒന്ന് കുറെ ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ ചോദിക്കാനുണ്ടെന്നൊക്കെ.
I see. Yeah. Good.
അപ്പം നമ്മുടെ സമയം പറ്റില്ല. കാരണം അയാൾക്ക് ഇപ്പം എത്ര മണിയായിട്ടുണ്ടാവും? ഇപ്പം 12 മണി എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ അവിടെ ഇപ്പം 1 മണി ആവാറായി. അവിടെ 3 മണി രാവിലെ.
രാവിലെ. ഇപ്പൊ യോഗ ഡേ വരുന്നുണ്ടല്ലോ
21 പ്രോഗ്രാംസോട് പ്രോഗ്രാംസാണ്. ഡൽഹിയിൽ ഈ ജയന്തി സാഹുവിൻ്റെ ഒരു പ്രോഗ്രാം, പിന്നെ ഒരു 10,000ഓളം പ്രിൻസിപ്പാൾസ് അറ്റൻഡ് ചെയ്യുന്ന ഒരു പ്രോഗ്രാം ഉണ്ട്. അവര് വേൾഡ് എഡ്യൂക്കേഷൻ ഫോറം അവരുടെ യോഗ ഡേയുടെ സ്പീക്കറാണ്. ഇങ്ങനെ ഷെഡ്യൂൾ ചെയ്യും അവർ. നമ്മൾ പറയുന്ന അനുസരിച്ച് ഷെഡ്യൂൾ ചെയ്യുന്നതുകൊണ്ട് ഇത് 7 മണി മുതൽ 9 മണി വരെ, പിന്നെ 10 മണി മുതൽ 12 മണി വരെ, പിന്നെ വൈകുന്നേരം വേറെ സ്കൂൾ പ്രോഗ്രാം വൈകുന്നേരം 7 മണിക്കാവും. പിന്നെ ഇതെല്ലാം റെക്കോർഡ് ചെയ്യുന്നത്, ബാക്കപ്പ് ചെയ്ത് യൂട്യൂബിൽ എഡിറ്റ് ചെയ്ത് പോസ്റ്റ് ചെയ്യും വേണ്ടേ. അതിനും കുറെ സമയം എടുക്കും. അല്ല, ഇപ്പോഴേ കിട്ടുള്ളൂ. നമ്മള് മീൻ പിടിക്കുമ്പോഴല്ലേ വിൽക്കാൻ പറ്റൂ. മേടിക്കാൻ ആളെയൊക്കെ പിടിച്ചിട്ടൊന്നും കാര്യം. എപ്പോഴൊന്നും കിട്ടില്ല.
ഫ്രീസറിൽ വെച്ചോണ്ടിരിക്കണം. കിട്ടുമ്പോ പിടിച്ച് ഫ്രീസറിൽ വെക്കുക.
ഇവിടെ ഒരു ശ്രീ ഹർഷ ജോയിൻ ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ട്. ഹർഷ, ഹൗ ആർ യു ബേട്ടാ?
Sir, fine, sir.
Yeah.
What about you, sir?
Fine, good. Harsha is physically handicapped. His eyes problem. He is blind actually, but he attends.
God's own son.
Yeah.
I used to say God's own son.
Yeah, he has got another all other indriyas working fantastic, but except eye.
They are all God's own son. Blessed.
Harsha is a engineer. He completed his BTech.
Very good. Very good.
Right?
Nice. Bye, sir. Bye. Thank you. Good night.
ശരി ഏട്ടാ, ബൈ.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Bye.